Hello and welcome to episode 385 of Retro Encounter, RPG Fans' weekly podcast of many topics. I'm Mike Sollosi, and this
Mike Sollosi.
Regent Mike Sollosi. Although, I mean, look, the regents in this games are really just a bundle of jerk butts. I'm not sure I want to be associated with that regency.
So, Regent Mike Sollosi.
Okay.
Ranger Aleks.
Regent Mike Sollosi, Ranger Aleks Franiczek,
and Grunt Steph Sybydlo.
I was about to say Experiment Steph Sybydlo.
That works too. I love doing the theme names. I never think about it enough beforehand. No, that just came to me right now.
Killed it. Improvisation.
Oh boy, I have half a mind to start this podcast over, but I'm in too deep already. I don't want to die and start a new game just for this podcast. Anyway, that was the sultry voice of Stephanie Sybydlo.
Hello.
And I think I also already mentioned Aleks Franiczek.
Hello.
This topic is the same as last week's topic. We were talking about Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter, that game that we compared to, oh boy, space horror, roguelike, Souls-like, tactical RPG without a grid, regular RPG without an in. This is a unique game that does so many very specific things. I think I used the word stressful like 15 times last episode, and unfortunately it didn't really change. I was actually very busy the past 7 days and wasn't able to devote very much time to the game at all. I have not finished it, probably not even reached the halfway point. But
how far did you get? Like, what was the last thing you remember?
Cutscene? Oh boy, it was
I feel like every cutscene in that game makes a difference.
I did meet the leader of the Resistance.
Okay, that's a good part.
And then I died. Like,
was it like the weird anti-ranger fight or whatever?
No, it was in the dungeon stretch after that. I don't really remember. It was several. It was like the same night that we recorded the previous episode.
Right.
Before we started recording, Aleks, you told us that you were able to finish the game, and in incredibly dramatic fashion.
Yeah, it was honestly one of the most intense, sweaty, and rewarding last stretches of like an RPG I can remember playing through. That D counter really became an interesting thing to be watching, going up and up and up on my screen as I'm trying to like go through this gauntlet of bosses that await you at the end of the game.
Did you kind of cheese it by the end? Like you just wanted to like rip through the dragon form a little bit to give you that assistance?
I mean, yeah, it was that, and also like desperation. Like I was low on items. I'm just like I'm gonna have to use my dragon form. Like with the regent boss fights, they've been taking me like between like half an hour and an hour to kill one goddamn boss, and there's
they all have, like
5 of them.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, just what a gauntlet of a last dungeon that was.
Yeah, the D did not stand for dragon counter. It stood for some combination of desperation, death, and dungeon counter. Because, I mean that the D counter really is a like a doomsday clock where the world ends if it reaches midnight. And in the screenshot you shared with us, it was at 99 when you were dealing.
Either the final boss.
Yeah, either the last hit or close to the last hit, right?
That was the last hit. After I did that final attack, which I wasn't sure if it was gonna kill, because like I had to do like 4 fully charged like shots on the last boss in order to like try to hopefully kill him before my D counter hit 100, and yeah, ended off at 99.77. And what a relief that was, because if I did not get that hit off, I would have not seen the end of the game, because it would have taken me all the way to the beginning of the goddamn gauntlet of the last dungeon.
and that last dungeon, I mean, I saw I did go through some videos to like see what the music was like in the last couple of areas, and I think the YouTuber I was checking had like 2 videos just for the last dungeon. You said it took you like 4 hours, 5 hours?
Yeah, 4 to 5 hours to get through all those it's mostly just the boss fights, because the last dungeon itself, it's not like super expansive or anything, and you could technically run past a lot of the fights, which I ended up doing because I was worried about my healing item count. But yeah, I miraculously ended up beating this game, and it was fantastic.
It's almost perfect that you ended on that symbolic final hit before, the cutscene wanted you to take it to that extreme.
Yeah, although the following cutscene, which then like after you get the last hit on like kind of the real final fight, you end up in kind of like a gimmick fight, and
Yeah.
I was worried that there was like another form of the boss I had to fight. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to be able to use a single dragon move at this point. But then you just have to like go into your. It just wants you to use your breath attack, which is your only kind of like ranged attack, and just hold it until you max out your D counter. So it's a little anticlimactic because it took literally half a second for that to
Yeah,
happen.
it was not a it was not a gameplay final boss. It was a sort of a story moment that you execute in the
Yeah.
battle system. But it probably is. It probably does feel different if at that point the D counter's at 50 and
Yeah.
you have to wait a minute to fill it up. But no, you were already almost at the top.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, great game, great ending. Yeah, looking forward to diving into the second half of this game.
Oh, are you gonna do like secret dungeon or secret bosses or like or yeah, just do another run of it just to see more of the story?
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm interested to hear with your greater experience of the game, Steph, of just like what am I missing at this point? Because I saw pretty. I only actually like died properly like once,
That's good.
so I feel like I got a couple of SOL specific cutscenes, but I feel like I'm still like the actual like story and especially like the story of surrounding like the regions. I feel like there's got to be more that gets developed if you have a bigger SOL count. No,
I don't remember like how much it shows you per SOL play. Like, did you find out like Bosch's childhood?
no, I didn't.
Do you know if you like have you started the new game already, or is your save not that far along? Because I know that your D ratio changes every time you reincarnate or whatever the proper term is.
Right.
Did you know
Uh,
what your new D ratio would be?
Yeah, my new D ratio is 1/2048.
Okay, so
So I made some strides, but I'm still not the coolest cat in town.
all right. So you're at that number puzzle game from 6 years ago. Got it.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. Your Kingdom Hearts ratio right now.
Yeah, and I know there's like quite a few different factors that go into like decreasing your D ratio. Like clear time is one of them, which I definitely didn't get because I spent like over 30 hours on the game.
Oh, so that's why your D counter was so high. But but yeah, it's your it's how quickly you clear certain areas, how many treasure chests you find. I think it's how many battles you win without running away. There's a whole math equation that I found in one guide for the game before I started playing, or maybe when I was only a few hours in. That only made me slightly more intimidated by what was ahead of me. But regrettably, I wasn't able to finish it. But um, I know it's a comparison we've already made, but like the way you describe it, Alex, feels like playing a Souls game to me. Because when the risk is high and you know how much you'll lose if you fail, but the game is satisfying at a technical gameplay level.
I think we also brought up the Sega series a little bit pre-show, just with a lot of the mechanics that are like a little frustrating to fuss with, but also difficult and rewarding. So if I could also recommend just on that tangent too is Alliance Alive, which has that kind of same thing. So like Alex was mentioning how he got his final hit on the final boss on the final hit he could possibly get in. I had a few bosses like that in Alliance Alive where like the last second with the last guy standing, I was able to make it even over leveling. This is a podcast for people who like hard games.
Well, okay, apparently, and I mean,
Yeah.
you well, I mean, you say that, and then we're playing Rhapsody: A Musical Adventure next month, so
That's a Palette
maybe,
Quest,
so maybe not.
That's
But
right.
but I mean, but people who have played a lot of video games, which includes the three of us and probably most of our listeners,
Uh,
they probably do have moments like that, like where you win a fight, some kind of boss fight when you have a sliver of HP left, or you complete something with only a second left on the timer. Like those moments are sort of expected when you're a video game hobbyist, as it were. I'm not going to use the G word here, but when the risk level is high and the threat level is high, and
Threat level
and
midnight.
your investment is very deep,
Yeah.
like Dragon Quarter, or like most of the Soulsborne Ring games. I think it's enhanced. So you probably got an incredible high from seeing credits roll after what you went through.
Absolutely, and like the Souls comparison is definitely warranted of just like, having that last sliver of your health and patiently waiting for your opportunities to get a couple of hits off on a boss. But here I feel like it was even more amplified because there is one save telephone like
Mm.
right before the last two bosses, but I did not have a save token at that point.
Oh no.
So
Oh,
if I
no.
lost, it would have taken me all the way back to the beginning of the center, the final dungeon, and like I said, that was 4 to 5 hours of gameplay. So the stakes were even higher this time around, I'd say.
I love a good photo finishing moment. So, gosh, like now I don't know really what I want to talk about, like in terms of like what may be spoiled on a second run.
I mean, like you can go into it. I probably will pick this game up again because I liked it that much, and like as you're playing your first playthrough, you see all those like locked doors that look at your D ratio and kind of lock you out. And
So mean.
I'm wondering like even like what's the extent of the extra content? And I know there's like a bonus dungeon from the fairy colony you can get to that I haven't gotten yet.
Yes, so the fairy, I love that it's little ants. First off, that's just so cute, and the song there is really sweet and tender. And yeah, so if you dig to the lowest point of that area, there's a secret dungeon there, and you can find an extra. Do you mind if I say it? I don't know how worried we are about spoilers.
No. Look, this is part two of a retro encounter game journal episode, so we are going to spoil everything.
Alex, if you want to mute, I don't know if you're like really that invested. I don't want to ruin it for you either.
Go for it. It's I'm here for the long haul.
I mean, if you know your numbers, like if the dragon you meet is 1 and the one that Bosch has is 3, well, you get to go find dragon number 2.
Mm.
Or I think it's 4. Oh, whatever. Anyways, yeah, so you get to find another dragon, and it's like the secret boss in that, and it's hard. It's a very very hard dungeon.
As secret dungeons usually tend to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of good like secret items, like the best items, for the best spells and all that kind of stuff. So that's really really cool. Did you see the cutscene where you see like little Nina experiments, but they are headless?
No.
Yeah, so you get to find out a little bit more about her.
That sounds like a new game plus multiple runs cutscene that you
I think I saw it either in my second or third one. I don't remember, but like they kind of detail about a bit about that like scientist dude that you meet there, and yeah, he's a bastard anyway. Yeah, so you see a bit about like kind of where Nina came from. I don't even remember all the scenes. You see a bit more about like basically all the regions, so you get to know them a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, that's one thing that I felt like I was especially missing from like the last stretch of the game. It's like, who are these people? Like, they're clearly like important characters to this overall story, but I don't really know what their individual deals are. I get that they're part of like this secret cult that are trying to like governing this underground human society and waiting for a
Do you want me to just
potential
give
like
like a Cole's notes of everything?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the Cole's Notes version is that basically the dragons had like, they used their power and they completely just destroyed the surface of the earth, so everybody went down into the ground. So then they also still tried to kind of take advantage. I think they tried to take advantage of their power and like you could link up, hence the whole D system, to kind of relate to them, right? And to, again, use that power to, kind of control things.
and listeners, if you're as confused as I am by Cole's Notes, that is a Canadian version of Cliff's Notes or Spark Notes. I was lost, so I had to do some background googling, but it ended up being just fine. So please continue.
Okay, so I'll be frank. I don't really remember all the dragon motivation, just because like it's kind of so they're like trying to hook up, link up with the humans to kind of do their own agenda and all that stuff, yada yada. It links up with Bosch, and the other one links up with Ryu, and the other one's just kind of thrown down into the pit with the ants. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe the story because then basically like the regions. So you had Elion. I don't know. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elion, who was like the first one to be sought out by the dragon to go back to the surface. But then Elion had like a crisis of confidence and faith. Was like, what am I doing it because the dragon wants me to do it, or because I wanted to do it? And then he said, it, I'm not doing it until somebody else wants to do it. And is like actively doing it for their own sake and not for any other reason. I love that he has like a permanent dragon state in him, by the way. I just think he looks so cool. And
Yeah, Elion definitely seemed like the most intriguing of all these characters. I would have liked to know more about him.
Yeah. So, but like a whole bunch of like the regents have been alive for a long time. Like, Bosch's father has been alive for a long time. You kind of get some story details on him. He basically treated Bosch like shit as a kid. Like very cruelly. To the point that like he had him fighting as a child.
Oh shoot, that's why
But
Bosch is such a.
yeah, it sort of foreshadows sort of an event with him later, which is kind of what's fun about that cutscene. But like, so essentially, so like Bosch's dad is like, here, fight this, and it's like one of the tough enemies that you see in the game, and like you see like little young Bosch is just there like and shaking his sword. It's like, oh my god, right? And then like they flash to it later, like he actually won. But you see he's like exhausted, like he threw his sword down, he's just panting, and like half of his face is covered in blood. And so it's the half that like kind of gets ripped out of him later.
So why is he like level 2
Mm.
when he at the beginning of the game when he joins you?
He's a little Brad. Who cares? The point is he becomes grossly overpowered later as like I love that kind of rival story in this game. Like it's kind of like that. Like a lot of RPGs have that kind of rivalry between you and a bestie, and things go awkward. Your Suikoden 2 kind of thing.
And wasn't Breath of Fire 4 like that as well?
Breath
That
of Fire 4 is more of a dual protagonist kind of thing.
Yeah. Folu and Ryu don't know each other until they meet each other near the end of the game. This is a situation like Ramza and Argath. I mean, because Bosch is more persistent than Algus/Argath in Final Fantasy Tactics, but
I will always love that kind of Count of Monte Cristo where it's like the rich boy hates the talented poor boy kind of thing.
oh yeah.
a little bit,
And
yeah.
he
That's
just
that.
takes that grudge to a whole new level, to
Yeah.
such ugly levels.
Honestly, Bosch lasted longer than I thought he would. Like
I loved it.
I thought he
That's
was gonna be
awesome.
a
I thought, yeah, Elion would be the final boss. He'd turn into some sort of dragon, bang bang bang. But no, it's more complicated than that. That scene where Bosch like chokes himself involuntarily.
How many times
Oh yeah.
do you fight Bosch in this game? Because I
3.
mean, just looking at the
I think it's 3.
playthrough I was going through, I counted 3, but I
Yeah,
wasn't.
3 times.
Yeah, he's human, then he's mutated, let's say, and then he's like dragonified.
Yeah, although he has two forms for the final boss fight, and for the first one, I didn't need to use any of my dragon powers. He was pretty human. Like he was just using like his sword with like his poison powers and stuff like that. And then he goes full dragon for the second form, and seems like you pretty much have to use dragon at that point. I did
Yeah.
get like a nice tip that like not to let my D counter go above like 90% until the last fight, and
Were you like 91 and you're like, close enough?
yeah, pretty much.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I really pushed it.
That was so impressive. Yeah, everybody, he shared the screenshot of like the last moment, the last hit, and it was just really impressive. Hopefully Mike makes it as the cover.
Yeah, well, no, I don't think we're gonna make it the cover of the episode, but I'll upload the screenshot and put it in the news post for sure.
That's worth sharing, I think. Yeah, and I just want to apologize for earlier where I stuttered the entire plot. Believe me, it's very like very sparsely delivered out. It's more like the texturing of the world that you're in, less the actual overarching plots necessary.
And the game expects you to die enough times to have to repeat segments and learn and see more story cutscenes.
Yeah.
Again, this game is. I mean,
this game is less is more for a story. Like it kind of
it's
gives you just the overarching bits, and you're all the kind of players in it.
its narrative is very minimalist, but the I would argue also the environment design is pretty minimalist. Like everything is. Again, I didn't see much to the contrary, that this game is entirely factory levels, sewer levels, and laboratory levels.
What would you call the final place? What's it called, the sanctuary
The
area?
center. It feels it's
center,
like
sorry.
that's a quite a different color palette. It's like got like a golden kind of
Looks almost temple-like.
yeah.
Weirdly, like an underground temple, and it's just such a weird vibe in there, and the music's kind of lovely. Oh, the
Yeah, because
electric power building though.
it's where like the elite hang out, right? So it makes
Yeah.
sense that would be all like gilded and nice.
Did you like the music for the electric power building?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like
Right?
all of the music has just been
Yeah,
phenomenal for this
absolutely.
game.
Yeah. Yeah, just everything in that game, just on a visual level, is just really made me feel what it was selling. The music was so good, and like a lot of that kind of over the mountain music, that really makes you feel like encouraged, and like let's keep going on this hellish journey. I do like that. Despite everything, it is a very very happy ending. Like everybody might have gone through hell and back, but like our main three have at least like just a perfectly happy ending.
Yeah, surprised that Ryu ended up surviving after his D counter went to like 200% after that final breath attack. There's a full on Dragon Ball Z moment of like the two breath attacks kind of like clashing, and like then Ryu just starts powering forward. Yeah.
Yeah, but Alex, you mentioned a gauntlet of bosses at the end. You basically have to fight every single regent you've met up to that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
in a
So
pretty quick
the last dungeon
succession.
is really interesting. So you fight the first regent right before the final dungeon, and I just kind of want to like mention a bit of like how many like little decisions that I made that I wouldn't know would matter so much actually ended up getting me through the game. Like for example, before the second final dungeon, you get you're in like kind of the last settlement area, top sector borough,
Mhm.
and
I like the music there.
yeah, it was nice.
So
And it's kind of like the last like proper weapon shop
yeah.
for the game. There is one right before the final boss where that last save point I mentioned is, but like all those weapons were like above like 20,000 gil or whatever the currency is called in this game. So I don't know what the deal with those are, but
It's
this was
it's almost always Zenny in
Zenny,
a
right,
yeah
right.
in
Zenny.
Capcom games. Yeah,
That's right.
it's Zenny for both Breath of Fire and Monster Hunter.
Yeah, right, Zenny. So, yeah,
And
so I don't know if like you're actually expected to get those weapons. Maybe they're just there for people who are willing to grind enough to try to get to the end of the game. But yeah, so at that second final weapon shop, there was like a sword that boosted Ryu's like attack power by like 10. 10 more attack points than like the sword I've been using to that point, which was
mhm.
pretty good. I was happy with it, but I'm just like, maybe like this'll pay off in the long run. So I spent every last of my zenny to get this sword instead of like investing in kind of various upgrades for all the characters. I'm like, hopefully this pays off, and thank the Lord that I got that sword because basically Ryu is your boy for the rest of the game. Because once you get to these regent boss fights, they have what's called absolute defense, which basically
Yeah.
means that when you start attacking them in a given combo, in order to do damage to them, you first have to deal enough damage to their absolute defense. So like some of them will have like 100 HP of absolute defense. Some of them will have like 500 or something. And so what you have to do is actually use like weight a lot more in order to get two full bars of your AP, so you can do as long of combos as you possibly can, and that's like the only way that you're gonna like be doing like real damage to these. And because I had that much more powerful sword for Ryu, I was
Mhm.
actually able to do these long combos where like after I had two full bars of AP, I was getting somewhere with them. But still, it was taking like I said, like
It's
half an hour to an
madness.
hour per region fight. It was crazy, and just hope you have enough healing items to get you through. And sure enough, I squeezed out through so many opportunities that I thought I was going to be toast.
I do love this is one of those games that if you get a new weapon, sometimes it comes with new magic or new attacks on it. I love that kind of stuff. It's like it gives you unique stuff.
And then the way like the last dungeon, the center is kind of structured, you actually
Mhm.
have some choice in terms of like the
Oh yeah,
different
that's
paths you
right.
take.
Yeah.
And so at a couple I think it's 2 points throughout the dungeon, you'll be able to go through a portal to like the left of the room or like to the
Mhm.
right of the room, and depending on what portal you choose both times, you'll end up with different boss fights. So you only end up fighting two of the regents, but there's actually four in the final dungeon. So I went left both times, and after looking at what the other boss fights were, I think I made a good choice. Yeah, and they both had like unique mechanics. Like one of them was Cupid, and her kind of mechanic was that she was like a mage and she'd like run away and attack you from a distance. But
Yeah,
she'd also have this like little golem dude kind of just like coming after like Lynn and Nina, just like, and it was basically invulnerable. So what I had to do for that fight was basically make them run, like just run away and kite the golem while Ryu just chased down Cupid. And she had one of, I think, kind of the lower HP pools of the Regent, so
kind of worth it for that
basically killed
alone.
her single-handedly with Ryu.
Yeah.
And then my second Regent was Jesuit, I think was his name.
Yeah.
And his whole deal was that he could turn invulnerable. And at first, I'm just like, what the hell do I do? But then you use your traps with the Nina, and if they do enough damage in kind of one hit, that they can take away his ABD, then he turns uninvulnerable, and you can kind of just attack him from there. So really cool mechanics with all these boss fights. I'm not sure what the exact deal with the other two are, but
Hortensia
yeah.
is a pain in the ass.
So what's the deal with them?
She kind of does traps actually instead. Funny enough, like she changes the floors around and
Ooh.
she can pull off traps. And the other one is Vexation. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. That's Bosch's father. He's just a tough brawler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's kind of like gladiator style, like just knocking into you.
Oh, and I think he's the one that has like 500 absolute defense, like the
Yeah, his
biggest.
is super high. Yeah, his is just like a battle of wearing him down.
Yeah, I don't know if I even had like enough like strength on my characters to be able to do 500. That would
Yeah.
be. I'm really glad I didn't end up with that one.
I will say that I was a bit disappointed that like one of Nina's better skills is the one that gives AP to other people.
Right, yeah, I didn't
I
even unlock that skill, but it
oh.
seems like it'd be really valuable for Ryu just kind of being your main tank and damage
But I
dealer
hate
in
that
the end
too though
game.
because I'm like, okay, it's great that like, she has something like that that's useful for others, but I feel that doesn't say much to her usefulness sometimes.
That's
It's
true,
like
yeah.
if your usefulness is just giving other people the boost, I'm like,
Yeah, I felt Lynn's usefulness was mostly in like supporting other people's combos and things like shoving people into Nina's
Yeah.
traps.
Yeah, shoving them or drawing them in. Like she controlled like space really really well.
Yeah, but she's not a damage dealer. She's a rogue slash pusher kind of character. Again, like kind of reminding me of some of the stuff you could pull off in Radiant Historia. I mean, she was valuable for the time I was playing the game and could use her, but there's something more appealing, I think, about the large amount of direct damage that Ryu and Nina can do compared to Lyn.
For sure. And like I still was able to do like Nina and Lynn were both definitely helping out through these fights, especially because I was lucky enough to from some enemy drop get a really really nice gun for Lynn that essentially like extends her shot range to like 900 meters or something absurd. So she could
yeah.
be like almost at the other side of like the battle arena and still be getting shots off. So once I had like 2 bars of AP and she had that like really nice gun, I would be able to still do some damage with her. And yeah, although I didn't have that apparently really helpful ability that Nina had, like she was still able to do some decent damage with spells. But oh
Yeah.
my god, did these bosses have her number? They were just trying to chase her down and murder her.
I feel like I had that too. Yeah, for some reason they like really picking on her.
Yeah, probably just
Yeah.
because they're programmed to like go after like the lowest defense or something if they can get to it in one turn.
Yeah.
Like a really key thing with these fights were also to make sure that Ryu has like as much AP as possible when it does get to his like second turn after I've waited. Because the problem would be that like if like the boss is trying to like chase down Nina or Lynn and like I'm trying to like keep distance with them, well suddenly Ryu is far away and like he won't be able to get the full combo in because I have to approach first. So that became like a whole thing as well. And for one of the fights, I think it was like the first form of the last boss fight where I literally just had everybody like pretty close together. And I was just like throwing out like tonics, like the resurrection item, like whenever he'd like go after Lin or Nina and kill them. So then Ryu would just like be there already and just be able to do as much damage as possible with his attack. So lots of interesting strategizing with all of these fights. Despite how long they took, they never felt like boring or samey. It was always engaging. So kudos to this game for managing that.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of the fights did feel different, and I think that's really important for RPGs, especially turn-based ones, to get a hang on. So it can not feel repetitive.
Yeah, I think that turn-based combat does not necessarily have to feel slow. Like again, we're preaching to the choir here a little bit. This is a podcast on rpgfan.com after all. Buy our merch at rpgfan.com/shop. But like when turn-based combat is consistently interesting and you're not doing the same thing every time and things happen quickly and that you go from turn to turn without waiting
With a
for
new plan after
yeah
your
yeah
previous one just got
yeah
botched.
without having to watch a 30-second cutscene like Final Fantasy VIII or play half of a Guitar Hero song like Legend of Dragoon. I think I think combat in those two games is kind of slow, but in something like a Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne or or most of the Breath of Fire games, the turn-based combat is brisk and especially in Dragon Quarter's case, interesting because you can't just mash the A button at every encounter in this game. You will be punished for it. And
Another reason I get mad at people who say they hate Breath of Fire 5 is that I'm like, the other ones are really easy, right?
yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a challenge hound in games, but
I'm not either, but I'm happy this one did.
my problem with this one, or at least I mean, it's not necessarily a problem I have. It's more like why I didn't finish it, is because I was under pressure to complete this before a certain amount of time because because I'm I have a podcast to record, and also there was a lot of focus that I think this game needs. This isn't the kind of game that you can play while you have a podcast on in the background very easily. And this isn't a game that you can play while watching TV. Like you have to sort of concentrate and get the most out of every encounter in order to survive. And I am so impressed with everything this game does, but I also felt like it is just a little player hostile. If I wasn't under pressure to finish this in time and if I was in the right mindset, then I think I would enjoy this game more. But I sometimes play RPGs for escapism and maybe even a little bit of coziness, and this is not that game. This is
Yeah.
not a cozy watch numbers go up and feel good about yourself RPG. This is a edge of your seat, die at any time, beat a boss with a sliver of health or one tick of the countdown left kind of RPG.
Like, while I love what everything this game sells, I'm not actually crazy about the whole, like, you have to replay it to get it all mechanic. Like, I'm like, come on. I don't have that kind of time.
That has the same energy as the game gets really good about 15 hours in. It's like, well,
Yeah.
well, what are you gonna pay me for those first 15 hours? Like, come on,
And, like, especially withholding, like, kind of pretty interesting story beats, and especially for a game with such minimal story, I'm like, that's just so mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mind withholding story by accomplishing something, but again, this game
By
expects to
accomplishing would
kill
be
you.
interesting. Like, if you go out of the beaten path, fight this, like, super duper hard enemy and get a cutscene out of it, I think that'd be cool. But replaying the game again, I'm like,
I think it is like it's trying to do like a similar thing to Hades, which is like
Yeah.
here's like a challenging game that wants to like still manage to appeal to like a broader audience. So it wants to like give some kind of like sense of reward or progression to players that are like struggling a lot and need to like keep replaying sections. So I guess that would be the purpose of the SOL system, if anything. But
top of its hilarious name.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm not like this isn't like a brag, like, but I died once in the game because I was playing so slowly and
Good for
carefully
you.
and making sure I'm making all of the right decisions. Like as you were saying, Sollosi, like there are like a couple times that like I think I zoned out a bit and ended up making like a stupid decision, or like one time that I ended up ending Ryu's turn while he was in dragon form when I didn't mean to do that, which gives you like a whole extra percent of D counter. So like like if I did that one more time, if I slipped up like that, I wouldn't have beaten the game because
That's
I would
true.
have gotten over 100. So it's just like, yeah, this is like I love like cozying up with a JRPG before bed. I find a great way to just kind of like
Chill.
zone out, get into
Yeah.
some random battles, and like even if there's like a bit of challenge, like it's mostly like kind of like a cozy, smooth experience. But here
Empty
it's just
brain,
like
no
no,
thoughts.
hyper
No, if you,
focus. Make sure you're paying attention because if you make one slip up, you will pay for it. Maybe your entire playthrough potentially.
if you play this RPG too close before bed, it will give you nightmares.
There's a few like jump scares from it. Like there's one of those monsters that comes alive when you get near it.
And
Oh yeah.
Like
and
it's alive, isn't it? Isn't it? Damn it!
well, and the thing is, I like a lot of challenging games. Like I mean, I'm playing a Soulsborne ring game right now. Or I started one very recently. You'll listeners, it's the November game for the podcast. You'll learn about that soon.
Woo!
And I mean, I've beaten a lot many challenging games in my day, but it's just I was not in the right mindset for this one. And this is a game that I think demands your respect and concentration, and that's good. Like I this is gonna sound so fake. I respect the hell out of this game. I just don't think I want to play it anymore.
I get that.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's same with Soulsborne games though. Like a lot of people just won't
Yeah.
go near it because they hear about the challenge and they're just like, I don't have that kind of capacity or time or
Yeah,
you
but
know,
and again, I made the same point in the last
vibe.
episode. I think the part of the point of Soulsborne games and of this game is that they're games of information and learning. Like
Mm-hmm.
as you fail over and over, you'll learn the enemy behaviors and and enemy positions and the layout of the environment and the exact sort of range of your movement and your weapons and your skills. And you'll get the more and more knowledge that you have, you'll the easier repeating some of the same areas will be.
This is one of those freaking games that like loves throwing a little tiny enemy that just packs a punch on you.
And I never, I don't think I only did a couple boss fights, but I didn't really have any trouble with them. I had so much more trouble with accidentally running into like 5 ants or 8 bats or something.
I think it was the danger rooms that probably usually
Yes.
Yes.
left me pretty anemic after.
I only found 2 or 3 danger rooms, and I think I died the first time in, well, okay, I died at least once in all of them that I found, which again wasn't many, but this game is so impressive, but it's also demanding of the player and a little bit hostile. And I was not feeling a hostile game in this month. I think.
I do think it shows
So it was
like
just
the
it was
kind of
but that's a me problem, not a problem with
I
Breath
do
of
think it
Fire
shows
5.
some of the like design competency on behalf of Capcom though to be able to make a game like this so far ahead of like roguelikes coming out
Roguelikes and Souls-likes,
and
yeah.
Souls likes,
Yeah, Demon's Souls was 2009, I think. And roguelikes have been around forever. I mean, like Rogue is a 1980s game, I think. But
I think you said it really well, Alex, too. You said something like where it was just like this kind of clear head about what they had to do with this game.
Yeah, just like a really like concise vision where it's just like, okay,
Yes,
for
that's what-
one, like it's like basically just a dungeon crawler. So
Yeah.
like we have to make that engaging. So we're gonna have items you can get that allow you to either mess with enemies in order to get past them or like damage them before battle as you're just kind of like exploring the field. And then just like, okay, we also want to we also know it's like very difficult, but we want to empower players and draw on like the dragon powers from the series. So we'll make the main character have a form where he becomes like absolutely broken, by far the most powerful thing in the game. But then it like ticks up your counter, which accompanies the entire game. Yeah.
And yeah. I think we've really communicated the struggle and the harshness of Breath of Fire 5 pretty well. We
sort of minor, but I do know in the design notes they did want to make a fishing minigame a la the rest of the series.
Yeah,
that you can
there's
fish
a
in, but
there's
they
a
ran
lot
out
of there's a
time.
lot of fishing in the other Breath of Fire games. It's like
Yeah.
it seems that Ryu has depending on the game, he has a bit of a fishing obsession.
Yeah, so they wanted to put that in here, like I think like in the same area with the ants and all that stuff. Just kind of a nice freeloading zone.
Oh
that you
yeah,
can
because
relax in.
if you go to the back of that area, there's like a little nothing
Oh,
zone
cool.
with like a pond, I think. So that's where it
Yeah.
must have been. Yeah.
I do
makes
like
sense.
that's like the one area that just feels like unquestionably safe and okay to be in.
Yeah, with like
the,
really like quirky kind of fun
Yeah.
music too.
Yeah.
the fairy
It is
village
safe
is
here now.
the only, well, maybe not only, but it's the happiest part of this game, I think, by a significant margin.
Yeah, so I'm happy it had that. Each of the towns too, I kind of like what they communicated. Like there's, the really really poor town at the very bottom. I love watching that stupid like meters below the surface counter go, like just kind of tracking your journey through, how many more meters you got to go, and sometimes you'd go further from it, and sometimes you'd go skyrocket close to it.
Right, right. Yeah, because I think where you get the dragon powers, I think is like
Right at the
basically the
bottom.
lowest. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you get in the game, but then from there it's just like a climb up
Up,
to the
up.
surface. It's really cool.
So like yeah, the first town is like that really awful poor condition place. Everything's in ruins. I think you see a dog person there. I love them. Then there's that like that
Grass runner,
middle
yeah.
valley mall, that middle area mall like area, and then there's that like high bourgeois burgeoning kind of city. You don't really see much of it. This isn't that kind of game for a city, but I don't know. They all have like really interesting moods in them. I really
Yeah, for
appreciate the
sure.
game's a mood game. It is such a mood. And it's like the happiest ending too, like I said, after all the like death and despair that you go through in this game, to actually give you a sunny happy ending with the green grass and blue sky. Yeah, it's
Oh, so
just
they do get to see the sky at the end.
they see the
You do,
sky.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
Nina doesn't have to live her life poisoning herself as a human air purifier.
If someone smokes around Nina, Ryu's gonna like lop his head off. He's gonna tear it off with his dragon claws that he kept, I like to think, under his glove.
But yeah, like the fact that I mean, I didn't experience this in the game as much, but like Nina's wings being basically vents to
Yeah.
purify the air around her,
It's
and
such a great
she would.
backwards retelling of like the original Breath of Fire series. Like it's just dark.
But so if she stays in the below ground, she'll make the lives of people around her better, but will slowly kill herself. But getting to the surface is the only way to save her. And Ryu is again the lowest of the low in terms of D ratio, or almost not as low as Nina. Like basically they've been forced into a corner societally so much that that escape is more appealing than whatever negative consequences they could have by being caught by Bosch or the regents or something. So
So when
it,
Elion's like, "Why do you want to see the surface?" He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's
yeah,
terrible down
it's
here.
like, yeah, it's like, yeah.
Let me
Why do
out."
we want to see the surface? Like you really live in an ivory tower because you don't know what the slums are like. I mean,
Mhm.
do you want
Like
to?
our girl here is dying, man. She's a fancy air purificationer, and like she just wants to go skip rope and play outside.
And I feel like the game really pulls like an Undertale almost at the end, where it's just like I think Ryu's like talking to like Odin the dragon that he's possessed by, and it's just like,
Yeah.
no, Ryu, like it wasn't me that got you through this. It was your determination. And that's kind of what gives Ryu the second lease on life, because the game does kind of do like a fake out that like he's gonna die, and like Ryu tells
Yeah.
Nina and Lin to go up to the surface, so Nina can finally see it while he kind of just
It's like,
is
Nina,
lying
go.
there
I'm just
passing
gonna go
away.
buy some
Yeah,
cigarettes. I'll be
yeah,
right back.
exactly.
I'll be right back.
But
The blood comes out.
but then Nina says,
Fine.
Just don't smoke them around me, okay?"
Like, yeah. But like, I just love the way it all comes together in the end. Like, again, like as you said though, that concise vision, and that's totally what I get from here. Just that whole journey to the top is just kind of a beautifully telegraphed story.
Yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned, like it's also communicated through like the different numbers you see through the game, whether it's like the D counter or like the seeing like your floor, your depth kind of level going down
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, going up or down or whatever. Yeah, it's so satisfying.
This game makes numbers both like hopeful with that depth counter and terrifying with the D counter, and
Oh,
but
have anyone
also
tried to do the banking insurance or whatever, or the interest, the banking
oh
interest
yeah,
there?
yeah, at the fairy village using the bank
Such a
or
weird
like
mechanic I did not
it's
expect.
like, what do you want to do, a long-term investment or
Yeah.
safe interest? It's like it's a level
It's like,
of
after
business
you
sim
beat
that I wasn't
50
expecting.
enemies, you get 1.2% back, but beat 100, you get a whopping 3. It's like, no game has ever done that. Oh my god, I wish more would.
Yeah, I love how like you guys mentioned, the fairy village is like this kind of like one like happy corner
Yeah.
of the game world, but it's also kind of like weird and messed up in a way at the same time.
You're
Like you
helping
got these
ants.
like janky looking like twitching ants, like just like hire me, I works good.
They're cute.
And like it shows you how like smart they are, like their HP and also like their age and just like and their salary. You gotta like pay them salaries and assign
Well,
them
they
for
don't work for
jobs.
free. Come on,
Yeah,
they're we're in the underground. You gotta pay those ants something.
but I just love how it's like this like very clearly like anti-corporate uh
Yeah.
game, but it's also like has this mini game where you're basically a CEO for like a bunch of ants.
Okay, look,
Led by
as
a fairy
as
known
someone
as
who obsesses over the Like a Dragon business sims, I have to say, like, that was satisfying for me. I did barely get to unlock the ant village, and this is not related to Like a Dragon or Dragon Quarter or any dragon game, but I think video games taught me about how loans and interest work. Because
You know, that's a good
when I was
point.
because I mean, in the American school system they don't really teach you about like renting versus mortgages, or they'll teach you about interest a little bit when you're learning trigonometry or something. But I definitely learned about loans and interest from playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. Because at the beginning it's like, oh, if you want to build a big roller coaster, you have to get a big loan, but then you have to start making enough money to pay off the loan, because otherwise you'll lose more than you paid for, because it's garnering interest at every pay period, and then you have to pay. But if you slowly pay off the loan, then you get to build what you want and make enough money to pay it off. Basically, video games taught me more about business loans than school did, but so for that to be in this game is and also because money can be pretty scarce in this game, but giving you ways to cheese the system with banking and merchants was fun for me. But again, I'm also someone that like taught four of my other friends how to play the Like a Dragon business sim in Like a Dragon 7. So but I'll also, I mean,
I lost
but
3 days of my life on that mini game. Never get them back.
in Like a Dragon or Dragon Quarter, which one? Which
Honestly, both at this point.
okay, fair. But yeah, if we're talking about how mortgage and and interest works, maybe it's close to ending the episode. But before we get to that, truly, I want some final thoughts. Uh, but both of you, tell me one thing that you loved about this game, and in sort of a pitch to listeners that aren't playing this to give it a shot, in spite of how much I clearly suffered over the last 3 weeks.
If you want just like kind of like a really unique RPG that combines like a bunch of different like mechanics and ideas and vibes from like different genres, like we've been talking about, Souls likes, roguelikes, tactics games, etc. Like this game is really unique in terms of what it asks from you and what it gives you from like that sort of heavy dungeon crawling aspect that it goes for. But if you want to be like highly engaged and challenged like a Souls game, like this has got you covered as well. And just like it's really good testament to just what like a like well thought out like mechanics can do if they're all like interacting in an interesting way, and they're all like working to kind of like serve not only like kind of like your gameplay experience, but also is like contributing to like this theme of the game, this theme of like desperation, this theme of being like buried underground and needing to like get out of it. This theme of like an ultra like ancient power that is also like has this incredible destructive effect. Like the story in this game, like we've been talking about, is quite sparse. There aren't a
It's
ton
that
of
surmounting the
cutscenes, but
odds that
yeah,
like you want to join in that journey with them. You know, you want to see the sky for yourself as well. They make you care about the characters very well, even for as little as they give you.
exactly, yeah.
You know, and like the players that are in are again like they're so sparse content, but like somehow you're quite invested in just what little it gives you. It decides to drip feed to you.
Yeah, and really putting you in Ryu's shoes that like even though you're kind of this weak nobody at the beginning with enough like kind of determination and like care to like see a happy ending for your companions, like
Hmm.
you can push through and get there, and there really is a happy ending, and it's very very well earned in the end.
It was perfect. That was very well said. I have nothing to add. I will just say Regé-Jean Page recently bragged about liking the Breath of Fire series. If you don't know who it is, that guy that was like famous from Bridgerton and the new Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Oh,
And then when they were like asking him, like, what, you know, like he's talking about, like, yeah, I love medieval stuff. I used to play like video games all the time. He mentioned a series, then he mentions Breath of Fire, and like I just lost my mind. I was like, oh my god, someone popular actually knows about the series.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
I know.
I mean, Breath of Fire is a niche within a niche, and this is
Yeah,
a
right.
niche within the Breath of Fire series.
I do like that a lot of people seem to respect the Breath of Fire series despite the amount of years that have gone by. You know, like there's still a lot of fans for it. I'm very thrilled about that.
Yeah, I hope that we're communicating just how unique and good this game is, because I struggled through it, but I think that you need to go in with the right mindset and use every single tool that the game provides you, and it's ultimately a really rewarding experience if you find your way to the mountaintop, as it were. But I didn't. I'm not sure I'm going to go back to this game, in large part because because it's, you know, I just have too many podcasts to record and too many other games to play. But if you have the access and you have the will, then I think this game is 1000% worth trying, and also probably worth completing, although I can't attest to that myself. But Steph and Alex, thank you so much for carrying this podcast for me today, because again, there was not a lot of meaningful commentary I could provide that was outside my experience in the first 10-ish hours of the game. But this game is very well liked. It made a pretty positive splash among RPG fan staff and some RPG fans that follow us on social media when we announced that this was going to be the next game that we play. So this game is loved.
It's an acquired taste.
It's niche and specific and weird, and an acquired taste, and it demands your attention in order to get to the promised land. But I mean, there's not really anything else like it. I had to describe this in terms of 4 or 5 other games or series to like communicate what it's like. And that's
it like beats out all of them, like in terms of arriving on the scene first, which again you gotta admire.
Yeah, unless you go all the way back to, you know, like text-based original roguelikes. This predates everything that we think about of a modern roguelike or Souls-like, or even some survival horror and turn-based RPG elements. This is a special, unique game. I just don't think I want to play it anymore. But listeners, I think we are done playing Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter for the podcast. Thank you so much to Alex and Steph, and thank you listeners for listening to us. If you want to continue to listen to us, we're going to some, you know, different sort of dragons next week. We're doing an episode on Dragon Quest, sort of the game's spin-offs and the future and the state of the series. We had a special guest from that episode from our friendly rival site, rpgamer.com. So please, if you're a Dragon Quest fan, you should enjoy that episode next week. Following that, we're doing 2 episodes on Rhapsody, a musical adventure, a game I barely started a few days ago, and I can already tell that I think it's going to feel a little different than Dragon Quarter did over the past couple of weeks.
If this game was too hard, I was playing that game as a little kid and saying it was too easy. I love it though.
If Rhapsody Musical Adventure is too hard for me to finish for the podcast in 2 weeks, then maybe I should retire from video games. And following Rhapsody, we haven't finished planning it out yet, but we're gonna have a scary, spooky, altogether ooky episode around Halloween at the end of October. But listeners, if you want to email us about Dragon Quarter or Rhapsody or Dragon Quest or the Addams Family, you can always email retro@rpgfan.com. RPG Fan also is, you can find us on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, I think, Discord, YouTube, Twitch. No? Oh, no.
Mastodon.
Okay, a couple of those. Steph, you would know. You're the social media maven here. I'm sorry. I just started rattling them all off. I'm not reading any notes right now.
Like half the time when I see people talk about Mastodon, it's them mentioning they're fussing with a feature they don't like.
Whenever someone says "find me on Mastodon," I think they're watching like a 1994 episode of Power Rangers. But of course,
Black Power Ranger, I think.
Yep, that was.
Yeah, I remembered.
Yeah, Zack in Power Rangers and Goshi in Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. Of course, I would be the person that knows that. But anyway, another great way to interact with RPG Fan is through buying our merch. If you go to rpgfan.com/shop, you can find coffee mugs, apparel, keychains, phone cases emblazoned with the RPG Fan Emerald Shield. There's also 2 other fine podcasts on RPG Fan: Random Encounter every 2 weeks about randomness, and Rhythm Encounter every other 2 weeks about rhythmness. Please find those and Retro Encounter on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us, and hopefully leave 5 stars worth of feedback. But if you want to give us feedback as individuals, not as a podcast, let's tell you how to do so. Share our social media presences with you, starting with you, Aleks.
Yeah, so you can just reach me over email at alexfraniczek@gmail.com. Yeah, D ratio is a bit better than last time, gotta say, and now I'm 1/2048. And no, that's not the subtitle of a Kingdom Hearts game.
You could have fooled me, because if you strung 4 nouns and numbers together and told me it was a Kingdom Hearts game, I would just believe you and not care to look it up. But Steph, where can we look you up?
You can find me anywhere at Dice SMS. Just look that up. You'll find a bunch of my spaces online, but not Mastodon.
Not Mastodon. You also cannot find me on Mastodon. I have chosen Sollosi.bsky.social, Evoker for Dogs on Instagram, and the at the Real Monsoon on Twitter. Also Monsoon Mike on Discord. Well, let's see. It's almost October. Should I dress up as a princess for Halloween and play Rhapsody, or should I play more Bloodborne? I don't know. Listeners, thank you. Good night and good luck.